And now, Arthur Osbourne's true tales of the supernatural. We're starting off with the tale of the Trollenbaag. I happened upon a trip to Cologne, Germany, in order to give a talk at a conference on cursed artifacts. It was there I encountered a fellow archaeologist who regaled me with a tale over some of their local brew. It so happened that he happened to have a dearly good reason for insisting on a pint, but though I did not know it then, having no such requirement to indulge in the local fare, to exchange wonders of words and experiences with the assembled colleagues who gathered around him to hear of the happenings he encountered here in this very same city, the tale of de Trollenbach. There once was his friend who became his client, who he encountered, and seeming perplexed, and told him thus. His great uncle died, having been a grand master craftsman of many kinds, his deeds fixing a plethora of esoteric mechanisms and simple and complex jobs likes, was of some renown, and those in the know would make special visitation to him, who with his objects that fell into disrepair, which few others could fix. He knew he was about to pass, so he felt heavy the responsibility of ensuring his clients would have someone to visit after his time had ended. Therefore he thought of his great nephew, a craftsman, but not of any legendary renown, and sat him down over pints and pretzels, to explain not just the powers he was about to inherit, but his new responsibilities as the bequeathed new owner of De Trollenbag, the clandestine legendary secret of his success, and his fathers before him. He confided that De Trollenbag could work wonders, but only if tended to with kind stewardship. The tools of the trade and their antiquated purest forms could be found within De Trollenbag, but also its manifest true owners, the trolls themselves. When young Hans heard this from Hans the Elder, he thought that initially he had had too many points and near about fell off his chair. How could it be that some amount of master craftsman trolls could be living in his great uncle's Trollenbag like the miniature brownies of old? It did not seem feasible. But Hans the Elder insisted, and further, with stern admonishment that was taken into Hans the Younger's possession and into his workshop, that he should ensure that to it should receive its due, a pint of lager and a bowl full of pretzels each Sunday, and that he would find his work come out as right as rain throughout his work week, though he warned him to leave naught but the finest work for the bag, at least initially, to ease the transition between Hanses. It turned out that after he took possession of the bag, Hans the Elder took a bit longer of a retirement than he anticipated, and many happy returns came to him of when stepping away from his work and practice. He was more than glad to refer his old clients to the new possessor of the Trollenbag, and Hans the Younger's business thrived because of all the clients who could go no elsewhere on account of the delicate and esoteric work they often depended upon to keep their affairs in order. Upon initially, Hans the Younger spirit rose with gratitude and gladness, for he had only to leave a pint, foaming with crisp bowls of pretzels, out each Sunday, and that was the extent of his participation. With how well the esoteric work paid, he hardly need to ever keep most of his appreciative clients, and focused more on the work he loved, and the work that paid the best. With his extra time to focus on passion projects, he devoted himself to arcane techniques of his own, and by leaving the finishing touches to De Trollenbag, in time produced marvels that even Hans the Elder had to take respectful appraisal of, even though with that he knew his time was to pass and De Trollenbag was in good hands, so with that relief he died. Things changed, however, when the details of the work needed did as well. Though he found a fine partnership with De Trollenbag, it appeared that circumstances conspired against him, so that he was injured into a coma, and so could not contribute the beer and pretzels as required of De Trollenbag. Instead, the bag fell into the hands of his own nephews. In short order, they didn't remember his great uncle's admonishments and left the bag without its due. The brothers were mechanics and ran their own auto body shop, and who took the old tool bag with them, as their uncle and great uncle before swore by it, and thought to keep it as lucky charm and their own place of craftsmanship. With each Trollenbag in its new home unawares, without due tribute each Sunday, it was clear only to us listening that the tale was trouble right around the corner. It came to pass that there were troubles without number in the body shop of the two troubled nephews, and it was indeed two brothers against an antagonistic De Trollenbag. Only after some considerable trouble and consternation did Hans the Younger awake from his coma, and when he found that De Trollenbag had gone off to there, set to rectify the trouble straight away. Pint and pretzels, and that they were back five from Geshite, or ones whose faces were in need of slapping. Upon their mockery of his strange uncle woke up from his coma, he set to wake up things straight, proving his point with a pint in the same stroke. He wagered with him, for the cost of a pint a day, instead of a pint a week, that he should see each issue in their shop abated, and yet instead see their work done, in a flash over the next week. Backed up with problems that seemed to multiply and complexify day by day, they relented to this wager, seeming to delight pre-negotiating that either brother should take their pre-fights on alternating days. Hans the younger told two brothers to leave their shop for a week and come back afterwards to see their troubles put to rest. Young Hans knew the Trollenbag had been kept without for too long, and so neglected and unappreciated a state it would be hardly good enough for but for causing trouble. Though the foolhardy brothers of the body shop still look back on that time with consternation, the Trollenbag could have said to have been merciful, often doing things that would annoy, instead of had to harm their unsuspecting customers. Instead of treating the Trollenbag like an enemy, he instead greeted it and treated it like an old friend. He openly took it out for pints at the very pub this is, and it is said you will find old pensioners in the musty corners of this establishment who will swear on their honour that they saw little gremlins scrambling to the top and the edges of bowls, cups and glasses to sup upon the brew they had known for generations. Not to placate, but to celebrate them, he ordered everything on the menu, which drew mirth from the waitstaff, but curiosity when each plate seemed to have been licked clean. Only one man that feast was set before, and he did not seem overly full after, though he must have had hollow legs, they swore, or as he was drinking pints two at a time with his clever little fellows, who did him the kindness of forgiving him his absence. One explained, for he recounted the wherefores of his absence, and in turn they agreed to teach him the insipid brothers a lesson or two before fixing their troubles, and winning the bet that would keep them in longer till the end of their days. Not only after the week was up did Hans the younger cavort and party hard with the Trollenbag in the body shop of the irksome louts, as the trolls of the bag dubbed them, but they fixed every problem and then some in the full garage. Full transmissions, engines, chassis work, and every tricky bit was done to the highest standard, beyond reproach at an early pace, so that they had time for their masterstroke, for it stood before them an old Carmen gear with the chassis wore down to its pewter, where the lackadaisical brothers had never got around to restoring it, but had kept it around in hopes of doing so, when he knew how he would further frank his nephews and win the day. Before setting inside the body shop with young Hans on the next Sunday, when the bet was made, the two brothers had not sat in the shop for a week aforementioned specified in the bet, and they were gloating, for they were sure that however talented Hans the younger had become in his craftsmanship, arcane and esoteric, there could have been little chance they had been beaten their wager, as even half the repairs in their full garage would have taken them weeks even together. "What we want the premium lugger, old man Hans, we will call you," as they chuckled. But Hans the younger had yet another wager for them, double or nothing, in exchange for the Carmen Gia in the garage. As the car was in shambles down to his pewter bodywork, they gladly agreed, looking forward to their complimentary daily pints as they opened the doors to their workshop. Not only was everything in tip-top shape, but it seemed to their bewilderment that the structure of the body shop had been inverted in layout. Left was right, and the same such otherwise. As the brothers looked almost horrified as it dawned on them how this would undermine their workflows, amusement swept across the face of younger Hans, as the Trollenbag was well positioned to get a good view of their anguish, for if they knew the Trollenbag was to produce such an obvious feat of magic such as they were witnesses to, with the body shop of the cars, was flawless, was a given. Beneath the tarp, thrown over the Carmen gear, was the piece de resistance. So thrown as he cast the cloth over into the back seat, it could be shown that the vehicle had been transformed. In every way better than the original fashion, the chassis had been lovingly buffed down and engraved with the theme of hops playing across his pewter in a playful elegance. As he placed the Trollenbag lovingly into his new vehicle, Hans the younger just smiled, and thanked him not only for his new Carmen, but for paying his and his best bud's daily pints. He sped out of their garage, leaving them to stumble confusedly, where the residents of the Trollenbag had tied their laces together. This conclusion to the tale of the Trollenbag had the assemblers of fits of drunken yet thoughtful laughter, in sympathy for the two brothers, but not too much so. Hans the younger eventually bequeathed it to them, having had to learn their lesson every day for some time in their new inverted garage. Being the Trollenbag paid for itself in terms of labour for wages, the two brothers were glad to pay for the pints to this day, and even after Hans the younger retired and bequeathed the Trollenbag to them, wherein they were delighted to keep De Trollenbag in fine fare, for they thought it best to keep the denizens of De Trollenbag finishing touches to masterworks of vintage car restoration, for they fell into their body shop instead, becoming a carriage trade showcase of distinctive inclination. And that is not the only tale we could tell in this very pub, said my compatriot, Dieter Moosbrook, a local who was in Cologne more than some of the time, but especially here for this conference. I had enjoyed his tale of De Trollenbach, and wanted to hear more. Between giving lectures here at the conference, I was supposed to be here for 3 days. I wanted to make good use of my evenings. Winding down with tales such as this seemed to be a great use of my time. Besides the beer, this tale had the ring of truth upon it, however phenomenal from an objective perspective. I could tell that Cologne possessed many secrets, and was possessed by them very same. A few curious objects brought me to the links of my lectures, and even more curious of delights and woes were set before me and ahead of me. It seemed many haunted things were here around me, so little time to investigate. I wanted to make every minute count. I knew as I went to bed with a gentle warm gloom that today and tomorrow would bring some other weird tales we would look back upon with a smile, wondering over them for some time to come. And this concludes the tale of the Trollenbag. Here's hoping you'll join me for more of these adventures, not only just on Halloween. Our goal is an evergreen Halloween with these weird tales. Tune in for more and more from this channel. Yes, indeed.